I feel like a lot of people that try to sell you on being confident and really like have you, I guess, bolster yourself up and feel like the best version of yourself, they're trying to sell you on a version of yourself that doesn't exist. So like there's no way to visualize it. I mean, like I feel like we all heard the generic advice like, oh yeah, just stand up your spine taller and roll your shoulders back, speak louder, and just fake it till you make it. And then you'll just wake up one day and be different. And being different is the goal, apparently. And I mean, like, hey, I'm just a YouTuber. I'm just a guy who plays video games and talks. So take this with a grain of salt. But I feel like you don't really need a super loud persona. I feel like it's really just a lot. And you don't need to somehow put on a show for a room of people that genuinely you wouldn't think about on a day-to-day basis. I feel like once you realize who you are and you feel like really connected to yourself, you're not putting on a performance. You just got a private record of the person who you want to be, and you be proud of yourself, and nobody's watching. And then once you get to that point where you feel proud of yourself, you can transition straight into the core point of the fact that there's a massive difference between pretending to be a superhero, which a lot of people do to fake their confidence, and then just practicing mindful faking it. And I know like that sounds weird, it sounds paradoxical, because you're like, yo, like, but I thought I'm supposed to be real, I'm supposed to keep it 100 with everybody, and there's no aspect of myself that I could fake. But in reality, there's a big difference there. I mean, like, think about a kid who's afraid of the dark. Like, I'm sure you were scared of something as a kid. When that kid walks down a pitch black hallway or goes into like a dark basement or goes in their room without a nightlight, they're not really doing it because they're oh yeah, I'm so brave, I'm not even scared, this is nothing. Because if you've ever faced a fear as a kid, you're absolutely terrified, but your heart is racing and you're going through that, and every instinct is telling you to, oh my god, I gotta get out of here. But then you walk in there anyway because you want to be brave. It's an aspirational aspect of yourself that you want to be better. You want to be the guy who feels brave. So even though you're a little kid and you're scared and you're shaking, you walk into that dark room, and even though you're scared and you're freaking out, you face your fear and then you grow. But technically you're pretending that you're brave, but the reality is you just want to be. So then you decide to be. And a place where a lot of people tend to ruin this whole process and get all discombobulated is when they're in the middle stage of this process. So if you're standing on the bridge between who you are and who you eventually want to become, you get really deeply uncomfortable. And that's just because simply you don't have the proof yet. You haven't proven to yourself, you haven't taken the action to become the person that you aspire to be. There's no proof there. And listen, it's admirable enough on its own and on its face saying like, hey, I want to be somebody who works out. I want to be somebody who's in shape. I want to be somebody who doesn't have any debt. I want to be somebody who's a good boyfriend or a good friend or whatever, a good person. But you can want to be that way, and you could think of yourself that way, and you could really, really try your best to have a mantra and force that feeling into your head. But true confidence is honestly achieved by wanting to be something and then having enough evidence to say, yeah, I am definitively that guy. I have the proof. Here I am. That's the real way that you end up achieving confidence, because on the flip side of that, I could say I want to be a bodybuilder and I want to be in good shape, but if I turn around and I know at night I'm getting out of the gym and I'm heading straight to McDonald's and I'm eating like a surplus of 3,000 plus calories a day, well, when I'm walking through my day to day, I'm not going to feel too confident because I already know what happened last night. And man, when you get caught up in this loop and your confidence dips, or even if you realize how far you actually have to go between who you are now and who you want to become, there's this weird, subtle, unfortunate temptation to pretty much just treat your life like a movie. And like, this is a problem because people just romanticize everything in their life. They romanticize their struggle. So when their confidence dips, they end up just sitting in their slump, being like, oh, I'm the tragic main character and I'm gonna isolate myself and I'm sitting here and I'm definitely not hoping anybody notices. But in reality, when you're in that situation, you just want somebody to walk over, pat you on the head, tell you that you're doing a good job, bud, and then give you that instant hit of validation. We're looking externally. If you're catching on to any patterns here, we're looking externally for validation when we should really be looking inside. And I know, take it from me here first. I know that is easier said than done, but let me just be honest with you. Nobody's coming to pat you on the head. Nobody is monitoring your personal growth to make sure you turn out okay. You might have people that care about you, but they care about you in terms of like, oh, like are they still around? Are they healthy? Are they whatever? They're not looking into your confidence. You know, it's the only person looking out for you is you. You got to look out for number one so you could help out number 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So if you want to pull yourself out of this stupid loop, it's an understandable loop to be in, but if you want to pull yourself out of it, you got to cut out the theatrics and start to look at your daily standards with absolute precision. That's the best way I can word it. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for somebody to validate you, and stop expecting a reward for simply doing what you were supposed to do in the first place. If you decide that you want to be somebody who's in good shape, there is constructive things you can do to build that bridge. There's constructive steps you could take. You can push this thing in the right direction day by day by saying like, oh, so if I want to be in good shape, I got to go to the gym X amount of times per week, and I got to eat below my calories. And then if I put enough days like that together, that becomes the evidence. And something that I tell myself a lot is, even though it's like, oh, like maybe I'm not feeling the best about myself right now, but I start my day, or if I'm sitting in the car outside the gym, I'll say like, oh, you know what? Let's just get in the gym. Let's just handle this. Let's just eat good today because we're working on evidence. We're not working on confidence. We're not working on goals. We're not working on anything big. What we're working on right now is I'm trying to build a case for myself. I'm trying to improve my relationship with myself by collecting some evidence. That's all it is. And I don't know, man, maybe it's just me, but for me, breaking it down to something more simple than, oh, I want to be jacked and I want to have a six pack and I want to hit my goal weight, or I want to do this, that, the other, breaking it down to smaller goals like, hey, I want to feel good about myself. I make better decisions when I feel good about myself. So let's work on building the case. We're building like a core case in your head against your negative thoughts. And the only way to do that is, in order to build self-esteem, you have to do constructive, esteemable things to get there. Because like, not for nothing, most people end up treating their personal standards like they're in the negotiation room, and the second that they get tired or stressed or uncomfortable or just have a bad day, they really, that's where they end up dropping the ball. But when everything's going right, keeping your standards high is obviously going to be a lot easier. So it costs you nothing to eat clean or nothing to stick to your routine or to stay focused when life is smooth. But once that friction comes in, once it gets bumpier, you got a bad day or a streak of bad sleep or whatever it is, your brain immediately wants to start pitching deals to you and saying like, hey, you know, you don't got to go to the gym today. Why don't you go down to the convenience store and get yourself a bowl of mac and cheese? In reality, it tells you that you've had a rough week, so you deserve to let things slide. But in reality, what you should be telling yourself is, hey, I had a rough week. The least I can do here, the control I have here, is to show up for myself. And those wins really add up when you're alone and you're in your thoughts. And I feel like at a certain point, you get to a point where you realize that you're running the same self-critical loop over and over and over and over again. At that point, you don't need another realization. You don't need another big revelation here. You don't need a breakthrough. You just need some physical action. That's all you need. You know, this could be like, oh, put your shoes on, clean the room, pick up the weights, take out the trash, clean up your house. Do the work sitting on your desk, because physical execution is probably just about the only thing that could actually shut down this internal like static in your head, and it breaks the identity crisis because it grounds you back in real life. It gives you something constructive to do now. And if you take that constructive, slightly productive task that pushes this thing in the right direction and you multiply it towards positive self-thoughts through previous good things you did, well, your confidence just goes through the roof. It just does. And that's something that I have to always keep reminding myself. Like, I have moments where I feel a little bit insecure, or I feel like, oh, like I could be doing more, I could be doing better, I could be doing this, that, the other. But the reality is, and this could be due to a lot of factors, maybe it's my attention span, for all I know, who really knows? But the reality is, if I spent even half the time that I do overthinking about stuff, just actually doing what I want to do, even if it's not the perfect thing to do in the moment, I'm telling you, it would strip away the performance-driven analytics in my head, the over-analyzing, the constant need for validation, and it would start to build a narrative around these moments where real confidence can actually come out, and it can come down to one isolated metric, which is just, hey, did we push this whole life thing in the right direction today? Yes or no? Because life doesn't happen all at once. It's not just launching on a big trebuchet or a cannon. It's you build it up one little brick at a time. You go up one step or one rung in the ladder at a time. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. It's like grains of sand going through an hourglass much more than it is, throwing rocks through a window, I guess. But other than that, just try to calm down, stop overanalyzing, and just do something. But let me know in the comment section right now, guys, what is one thing that you're going to do today? I'm talking today, or I guess realistically it could be this week or this weekend, but bear with me. What is one constructive thing you're going to do to push this life in the right direction? Now listen, I don't expect everybody to just watch this video and instantly become super confident, but all I'm asking you guys to do is just do one thing. Start with one thing that you can do to build a little bit of positive evidence on yourself. I think you're going to see more of an impact than you think. That's just me. That's pretty much all I got for you today, guys. Other than that, just join my Discord. It's linked in the description. That's all I'm going to say about it. Good stuff happening there. And of course, hope you guys have a great day. Take care.